Hi there, and a warm welcome to Frugal Fo. My name's Lara, and this is the Frugal Living and Budgeting channel. And I hope you are having a terrific frugal week so far. I have tuned in to see you today with a brand new type of video. This is Waste Not Wednesdays, which will be now part of the same playlist as Slow Cooker Sundays and the Super Salad Savings Challenge on Sundays. So in addition to doing a Sunday video sometimes, I don't always manage to get a video out on a Sunday, but another alternative to that is these Wednesday videos, which may not be specifically filmed on the Wednesday, but I'll be putting them out on the Wednesday. And it's Waste Not Wednesdays. The reason being is it's when I will do videos challenging myself to use up bargainous food that I've bought before it spoils, because I don't want to waste it, hence Waste Not. And sometimes get quite creative and try and figure out an appetising way to use up the items before they spoil and be able to make my budget stretch that bit further. This is one of the ways that helps me stay on track with my low spend year for food, especially in essentials, of £25 a week. It's a tough thing to stick to, and I'm delighted with how it's going this year. But one of the things that makes a massive difference is when I'm able to take time to batch cook and use up lots of bulky vegetable yellow sticker ingredients and incorporate them into meals to find ways to keep costs down. And I also want to do this from a healthy eating point of view. So at the beginning of the year I was doing weight loss videos. I've stopped doing those at the moment. However, I do still want to lose weight and need to lose weight, but I just would rather figure out my way myself at first. And then once I feel I'm getting somewhere and I get more into a routine and a rhythm, I can come back to you and give you an update and also feedback on the things that start helping make a difference as far as that's concerned. And probably going forward, once I get into a flow and a rhythm with that, maybe it will be a monthly or a 3-monthly check-in. But at the moment I'm juggling other things as well and just generally trying to be good in that department. I definitely still think there's a hormonal influence as well. Definitely an emotional eating element, but I am working on it. It's just I'm working on it quietly in the background, but it is something I look forward to sharing more about on the channel in due course. But for the month of July, one of my big food budgeting plans, as well as healthy eating plans, is what I've been trying to do for ages, and that is get through all the stuff in my freezer and actually use it up. I tend to chuck a lot of reduced yellow sticker things in there before they turn bad, and then what ends up happening is I end up with a glut of things that aren't really that useful, or I don't know how to use them, or I never feel called to use them, and they're ending up clogging up my freezer and wasting a huge amount of space, which is part of how I plan to get creative on these Wednesday videos. These are things that I've recently bought in the supermarket, and they would have either spoiled, which I wouldn't want to happen, or if they didn't spoil, I would have ended up chopping them and sticking them in the freezer, and they would have met the same fate as the other things that are in the freezer at the moment, and I didn't want to let that happen. So my plan today, I'm so looking forward to bringing you along with me for this wee journey, is I'm going to do a total experiment to use up some yellow sticker fresh things that I bought. And then let's go through the freezer, and rather than me just do what I usually do, which is a stock check and an inventory of what's in there, let's actually look at the stuff and together figure out a plan of how I'm actually going to use these things to make meals so that I'm not having to go and buy as many top-up shops at the supermarket, because I would love to come out under budget this month. So for June's video, if you haven't seen that, I recently did a June budget video where I came out at about, I think it was about £103 I came out at. So I had a little bit of a sinking fund as well, and I carried over, I think it was somewhere between £10 and £15 I've carried over into the budget buffer. So my £25 a week goal, and it's a 5-week month for July. So that's £125 for the month of July for my food essentials budget. I have used a bit of that already, but not a huge amount. And then including the budget buffer money, I think it's about 136. But my goal is to get as far under that as I can by actually using stuff in the flat, especially in the freezer, so that I've then got room to start batch cooking, because for me that's a healthy eating game changer, and it makes my life a lot easier to manage my busy time and schedule. It really makes a big difference to staying on track with healthy eating and budgeting in general. So I really want to get back into it, guys. So I'm so looking forward to this with you today. And I'll be able to also use up some of the food cupboard items in conjunction this month and beyond. But I think that will be a good challenge to set myself. So it's something a bit different. On Sundays over the summer it will be more like salady things, and I'm still going to see if I can do my £1 challenge with those Sundays for salads. And then in the winter I'll go back to more like the slow cooker soups and things like that. But it's just a different kind of creative cooking video on a Wednesday. So sometimes I won't manage a Sunday video and I'll do a Wednesday video and vice versa. And then there'll be the other usual Thursday or Friday thrifty or frugal chats, budgeting related and decluttering videos. And at the moment I'm pressing pause on the weight loss ones as I described. And then other kind of frugal lifestyle and simplicity and gratitude related things just ongoing as well. So without further ado, let's have a chat about the items I've got here, what I'm planning to make, what things cost that were yellow sticker or reduced, and other bits and pieces from the cupboard I'm going to use up for this dish. And then after that, while this is cooking, we can go through the freezer together. Right, so this is a humongous amount of cabbage. I got a whole big cabbage for 30p, yellow sticker, and it was on the verge of turning, but it had a lot still that was good. This is spinach that I did buy at the normal price. It's about £1. Is it £1 or £1.25 or something? Huge bag of it. So I got a huge punnet of reduced price mushrooms. Huge punnet, 88p. This is the last of those that's leftovers that I didn't want to spoil. And then finally I got a reduced price aubergine for 68p. And if I don't do something with it, it will spoil. I don't have room to freeze it. Look at all this. So I've got that. I'm going to fry this red onion from the freezer. So just to say though, just to clarify, the yellow sticker and reduced items that I'm using up so they don't spoil are 30p cabbage, 88p remainder of the mushrooms, but I'd already eaten at least half of them, and a whole aubergine for 68p. And then other leftovers I already had that I'm using up are spinach, some red onion from the freezer, and then I'm going to use, I've got some olives here, I've got some pesto. I'm going to use that as a little bit as a cheese substitute so that there's still a creamy cheesiness, but far healthier and far less of it than there would otherwise be. Tomato puree and some tinned chopped tomatoes. And then for seasoning, I've got garlic granules, I've got black pepper. I'm not going to have salt. I'll use the garlic powder instead, and I might use a bit of basil. And what am I making, you might ask? What I'm going to make is I'm going to make a big veggie lasagna. Oh, also the other thing was I got out of the freezer and cooked in the slow cooker, not the slow cooker. I got out of the freezer and I cooked in the air fryer another ingredient. I had some leftover hot dog style sausages. I can't remember what I paid originally, but I got loads, like in a big pack. I think it was a big pack of 12 and they were really cheap. So I've just got the last ones of them to use up. So I'm gonna slice that, and that's gonna be in the mix as well. So it's going to be a lasagna, and it's gonna use up loads of vegetables. It's going to have the thinly sliced hot dog instead of any kind of other meaty filling. And I'm going to bulk it out with the cabbage and with the aubergine. It will still have, yeah, I think I will still do it with lasagna sheets as well. But I'll be bulking it out especially with the cabbage and the aubergine to make it healthier. I'm going to just use the fry light and just very lightly fry these, just to start cooking them through a little bit. And I'm going to call this the Ober Eats lasagna. Play on words there. Ober Eats. I'm terrible for making food puns. So without further ado, I'm going to get frying, and then I'll be back, and then we can layer up the lasagna. Let's do this. Right, here we go. Hooray! So, onion, spinach and mushrooms. And now I'm going to add all the other bits apart from the aubergines. So, well, oh gosh. Yeah, I've committed to it now. I'm just going to do it. I don't know if there's going to be room in this frying pan for everything. I really don't. It's going to be very cabbagey. So I'll do a bit of mixing and I'll be back. done. I am really pleased with that. It smells delish. Oh, I forgot the basil. There we go. Time to get putting layers. So there's going to be, right, so to make the lasagna, what we're going to do is a layer of aubergine for Uber Eats. So aubergine, sauce, lasagna sheets. Aubergine, sauce, lasagna, and repeat. To make a big stack of them, like up in the slow cooker. 2 to 3 hours on high. I'm hoping it will be runny enough, because I don't think I've got any more chopped tomatoes. I've used half a jar of pesto. I'm not going to use any more than that, so I don't want it to be too oily. But I think with it sweating in the slow cooker and everything, that should do the trick. So pardon me, without further ado, I'll turn the camera around and show you as I load up the slow cooker. Let's do this. Right, I have returned, and this entire drawer is either fruit or yogurt, but mostly fruit. I also have still some compote and some yogurt here. The milk isn't anything to do with the freezer. I'll explain that in a second. Now, what I am determined to do this month of July is get this drawer empty. That's the number one priority. That will free up a massive amount of space. This fruit needs using up ASAP. So my plan is going to be have black coffee and actually do it now for the month of July minimum, and do the thing they do in Slimming World where you measure out 300 mils of milk and that's the milk ration for the day. So I will either do that and have 250 to 300 mils of this, which is 50p a carton, 50 pence a litre in Asda, or use up some of the yogurt. Oops. So each day I'll either use yogurt portion, or I'll have 250 to 300 ml of milk, soya milk, with the fruit and make a smoothie. So that will be the daily smoothie until I use up this drawer. And that will create loads of space. And as part of that, I might actually also put in a few oats, and it can be like a kind of brunch smoothie I have 4 of the McSausage thing that I did before. See previous video. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sausage things that are made to go in the freezer. And I've got 2 soups here as well. So all this can go back in the freezer. Oh, and with the compote, I'll use up the compote to go into the smoothies as well. I do have some rhubarb in here, so I'm going to have some rhubarb and custard at some point as well, and use up that custard. Let me clear space and I'll show you the next round of things. So to use up the porridge oats will be part of my carbs each day. I'll have one other form of carbs from either 2 wraps or 1 bagel or 1 to 2 onigiri, which are rice balls, and 1 to 2 of these cake thingies. Not all in one day, by the way. It'll be one of these things out of this selection. So it'll either be 1 to 2 of these or 1 to 2 of these, or a bagel or 2 wraps. And that can be another portion of carbs for the day. So these cakey bar things desperately need using up. They've been in that top drawer of the freezer for ages, and they will spoil if they don't get eaten soon. And I don't want that. So I'm going to get these things used up as well this month. I'm going to get all this planned out. I'll show you that stage in a wee minute. I'll go put these away and show you the next round of things. I forgot to include with the carbs that there's also 10 portions of potatoes or chips as well. So those will be a useful carb as part of meals as well. I'll put them away too. I don't know. Now that I'm rearranging things, I don't know if there's going to be room to put all this back in. So when it comes to the veggies, a lot of this is just standard stock things I like to have in supply. So there's peas, there's sweet corn, there's broccoli, there's different greens, just general greens like spinach and that kind of thing. There's onion family things, so that's either spring onion, white onion, red onion or leek. And garlic, of course. And then there's some sprouts and there's some cabbage. So I'm going to stick a bit more of the cabbage in. That's all I've got room for my kind of standard frozen items. So I'm going to use up these leek and cabbage in a recipe, and I'm going to also use up these mushrooms and peppers in a recipe this month. Normally I like having other kinds of frozen veg as well, including things like peppers and mushrooms and other kinds of frozen veg, but all that fruit is in the way. I'd like at least half of that fruit drawer for other kind of veggie choices, and also probably to store some carb related things, and then that would free up more space in the freezer for the batch cooked meals. So I'm going to use these, and I'm going to use the other things. And here's the hot dog sausages. So it was 10 for 88p. So that's the last packet in the freezer needing used. So I'm going to use some of them with the peppers and mushrooms, and I'm going to make a big risotto batch with those. I'll also include some of the other veggie items as well with that. And then with these and some of the potatoes, I'm going to make some kind of bubble and squeak type thing. I'll maybe put some of the sweet corn in that as well. And that'll use up a batch of that. And that just leaves remaining 3 of these coconut milks. I'm going to try and condense them all into one tub and do a batch cooked curry at some point soon. Probably some kind of Thai lentil curry, and maybe buy some reduced salmon or something, because I've got a jar of Thai curry sauce in the cupboard and I'm thinking that would be really good. So all I need to put on the shopping list so far is some reduced price salmon. I've got this cream to use up at some point. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but there's loads of applesauce in that fruit drawer. And I do have some eggs, and I've got a load of flour in the cupboard. So at some point I might make some kind of fruit pie. I will have some blackcurrant to harvest from the allotment soon. So I could do some kind of apple and blackcurrant home-baked pie in my mum's oven at some point. We will see. Watch this space. I'll go and put these things away. And the great news is the lasagna's nearly ready. So once that cools and I get it portioned out, I'm going to have to figure out how on earth I'm going to fit that in the freezer. I'll try and make space somewhere. But before that, I'll be back with you very shortly for a taste. Ta-da! It's ready, I think. I need to check that pasta. So here you are. This is what it looks like. I'm delighted with this. It looks really delish and it smells good. So I reckon I've got approximately 5 portions worth, 5 meals worth. I'll have this along with salad greens each time. Just some fresh salad leaves. But I'm not going to have this as an actual meal just now. I'm just going to have a little bit as a taste test. And then once this cools, I'll parcel it up into little tinfoil parcels and freeze it. I don't think I've got room to have it in tubs in the freezer. But like I say, I think I'll get 5 dinners out of this, which I'm really pleased with. So I'll turn you around and we'll do a wee taste test. So watch this space, because next week I'm going to take what I've gone through with you about the contents of the freezer, and I'm going to show you how that will map on to the rest of July and what that's going to look like in terms of my meal planning for the rest of the month. And as I say, so far the only ingredient I need to buy is salmon and possibly some more of the unsweetened soya milk. There will be other things along the way this month that I need. I'll need to probably stock up on things like garlic powder and just, you know, like wee top-up shop items and different things. But what I'm going to do, and I'd absolutely love to do this, is bring you along for the journey. So I've had 2 Asda shops so far this month of July, and I'll add the totals here of what I've spent in Asda for those 2 shops on food items, food essentials category. So now that I've had those shops and I no longer have the receipts, I can't give an itemised breakdown. But what I'm going to do is my future food shopping, food essentials, etc. that I've got this budget for the rest of the month, what I'll do is I'll give you an itemised breakdown so you can see what I've needed to buy and how much it's cost, as well as doing my usual end of the month totals. And what I'll do is next week show you how what I've looked at in the freezer is going to shape my menu planning for the rest of the month, see how far it will stretch. We'll find out together because I'm still to film next Wednesdays, but that's going to be a continuation on from what I've been doing today. So I'm so looking forward to bringing you along to share that. And I have another surprise thing sitting over there that's leftovers that need used up before they spoil. And that's going to be my cooking for next week. So I'm looking forward to sharing that. And that will also be partly in the fridge and partly in the freezer to get used up and have as part of the meal planning as well. But without further ado, I've said it again, it's my little catchphrase at the moment. Without further ado, let's do a little taste test. Oh, that is so good. I'm loving that combination of flavours. That smoked hot dog sausage and the olives and the cabbage and things, and the textures are lovely. But I'm really delighted that it's so bulked out with the cabbage. That keeps it much healthier. I've also tried to make it a lower salt meal than I normally would, which is a great thing because I want to cut back on salt. It's a big thumbs up from me. I'm not going to eat any more as much as I love it, because I'd like to get my 5 portions out of that. add that to the list of food items. So I'll see you next week. Looking forward to that. But before that, hopefully I'll see you for the live this Friday. And then I'll be back as well for a wee Thrifty Tuesdays chat next Tuesday. So thanks a million for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Best wishes. Bye.